Then we've been dealing with this. Now that comes to this horrible bill that the governor's been trying to get through, that tries to cover up the fact that you're going to have the highest tax increase in the history of the state of Colorado. We can't stop it. All we can do is slow it down. Now, they did bring it out on 3 days before the end of session, so now we actually have a way to maybe possibly stop it, and that's by using the clock against them. Time, push it until it falls off the end of time, and the calendar is what stops it. So we started working on that. And they also wanted these extra amendments and things so it wouldn't look as bad. So they were working against themselves too. Kept doing this. Finally, it's like 6 o'clock Monday evening. We debated it Saturday. Sunday, while I was here, they were still working on it. Monday, all day long on these other bills, and then all day long. And the Senate was calling us, some of the guys in the Senate was calling us and saying, if you guys can get to about 9 or 10 o'clock, we can, because it has to go back to the Senate, we can knock it off the calendar. But we can't do it unless you really, really delay. So we started delaying. They were actually delaying themselves because they're not that bright. And they were adding these amendments and things. We debated for, we only get 10 minutes apiece, but there's 19 of us. 3 or 4 won't go up to the well hardly at all. And so there's about 15 of us that we're going to go take our 10 minutes apiece. That's 150 minutes per amendment, per motion, because then we get up and make motions, right? I motion that we all dance around. You know, that's not a motion, but you know what I'm saying. Then we all can debate 10 minutes on the motion. Then we can all debate 10 minutes on the amendment. And we're watching that clock, and we're pushing, and we're pushing and pushing. Finally, the majority leader figured it out. But they're trying to get all their amendments through. So they can't just call it and vote. They've got 2 more amendments they want to get through. That's 300 minutes that we can take, right? And if we get all 19, which every now and then all 19 will do it, that's an extra 40 minutes, right? So we're doing that. It's about 6:30, something like that, 7 o'clock, I don't remember. But they figured out, and she gets up and calls Rule 16 on us again. This is the biggest bill that the governor's trying to push, to smoke and mirrors, to cover up his biggest tax increase in the history of the state of Colorado. And they call Rule 16 on us in the last 3 hours or 4 hours of our General Assembly. I'm standing in the well with my hand up trying to talk. The reason I raised both hands is because I was standing there, and when she didn't acknowledge me, I turned around to my caucus, and they're all standing down there in the well trying to speak. And one of the guys says, "You should have used jazz hands." That's why I went like that. Because maybe she likes jazz hands. I don't know. But that's why on video I'm doing like this. But either way. So she calls Rule 16 on us. So I turn around to our caucus. And I said, "This is stupid. Let's not vote." Our whip standing at the back, he said, "Yeah, let's not vote." He's 2 or 3 hours over. He heard me say, he said, "Yeah, let's just not vote." So we all went to our seats and sat down. We didn't vote. Votes are going to just push button. The votes are going. This is for a motion for the amendment. That she did Rule 16 on a motion. You may not know that's a big deal. That is not okay either way. So we just didn't vote. And she got mad. She's starting to, through the microphone, get mad at us, saying, "Are you going to," like when she gets to me, "Representative Bottoms, do you want to be excused?" We just ignored her. Didn't say a word. And all 19 of us. Guys, a month ago, this wouldn't have happened. All 19 of us. Nobody voted. Finally, she started saying, "Okay, then I'm going to excuse you with protest." She went down the whole line, excused every one of us with protest, and then the vote went through. So then the amendment that is the motion that we just did, because you can't have an amendment, there's so much involved. You can't have an amendment on thirds unless you get special permission. And seconds, that's what seconds is for, is amendments, not thirds. Thirds is for voting. And they pushed 2 amendments on us. So one of our people got up and said, "Okay, I would like to make a motion for permission to have an amendment." They said, she said it's a proper motion. They voted it down immediately. We can't have an amendment, but they can push 2 of them through in the last 4 hours of session. So we get it for the amendment. We go up there to walk up there to discuss it. She calls Rule 16 again, which means we're not allowed to say one word. We have to go sit down and just vote on the bill. This is not constitutional. It's wrong. So we said, well, we're just not going to vote again. Now she's really ticked. This is the speaker. And the majority leader is going nuts because she's got 4 hours to get this bill through. And she knows the Senate's going to mess with it. Because the Senate knocked down some major... You guys remember me talking about the big land use bill? The Senate killed that after they shoved it through on us. We debated as long as we could for hours, and finally she called Rule 14 on it because they cannot stand to hear truth. And so then we said, we're not going to vote again. So we didn't vote. She's mad. She's going down through the list. Then they get up to do a motion for another amendment. We go up there to speak again. She does Rule 16. We had already been talking about it for a couple hours. So the entire Republican caucus, we just kind of all looked at each other. We've been talking about it, but here's a moment of truth, because you got 3 or 4 chickens on that caucus. You got 3 or 4 that just aren't really Republicans. But the entire caucus, we got up and walked out. Did not let them, and that freaked everybody out. That's also never happened before in the Colorado State Assembly. But we just got up and walked out. And the media, of course, they're following us with the cameras and taking pictures, sticking microphones in our mouth. And I held the door for them. I'm a nice guy. I held the door for all the media. But I told them, now, when I walk down the steps, do not walk with me because you're not my friends. They think I'm funny, but just a little. And so we get down there and we have a big press conference, and basically we said, why are we here? They're using rules improperly. They're not constitutional. They've been shutting us down. We don't have a vote. We can't even speak anymore. We're sitting here to speak. We can't even speak anymore. Why are we here? So we walked out. And then they said, well, some of our leadership was saying, well, I guess we should go back inside now after a while. And I was like, I am going home. And that's the last they heard of me. So...